What's up, YouTube? What's up, Twitch chat? Playing through some Rakdos ScamWow today. It's an archetype that we played a little bit of like towards the end of last year. Just kind of messing around with like the scam package with Death Shadow, as well as like Scourge of the Skyclaves to a lesser extent. And kind of found out that there were a lot of times that the scam package lent itself well to Shadow. For example, with Malakir Rebirth, losing 2 life. If you scam like a Grief turn 1 off of Malakir Rebirth off of Fetch and Shock, you can Fetch and Shock again on turn 2 to get Shadow down. So you're able to kind of clear the way with Grief and then start closing out the game with Grief and Shadow. You've also got the normal scam plan of Grief, Fury on turn 1, or just a Ragavan. You do give up like Dauthi Voidwalker for a bigger threat with like Shadow. This particular list by Ratanzi 5-0'd in a Magic Online League. They had a couple changes, or a couple things that we changed, I should say. For example, swapping out the 3rd Obnixilis for the 2nd Kroxa. Swapping the 3rd Undying Evil for a 3rd Malakir Rebirth, just to kind of help improve the consistency of Shadow. And then in the sideboard, swapped out 2 Path of Peril for 2 Chalice of the Void. Otherwise, everything else is the same. The core of Grief, Fury, Wraith, Spyro. Oh, and we swapped out the 4 Sign in Bloods for 4 Night's Whisper, just to help improve the consistency under like Blood Moon. I figured that was something that we'd kind of be interested in. If you've played Sign in Blood before, you know that you can target your opponent with it as kind of like a 2 mana, 2 damage spell. So maybe there's a number of times that comes up, but I feel it's more likely to matter that we want to be able to cast it through a Blood Moon. And the single Black Pit is probably a little more consistent with that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. See what we got. I did like the list when we played it last year. The only difference was like cards like Leyline Binding hadn't come out yet. So it was a little more consistent to just like get a big threat on turn 1 and kind of ride it to victory. And with more decks like Tron running around and Burn and stuff like that, the turn 1 scammed Grief could really go a long way. But with more Leyline Bindings, or the existence of Leyline Binding, I should say, in the format now, that does get a little dicier. But that's why you have like Kroxas and Obnixilis, Turok in the board, Spyro, things like that to hopefully help mitigate. Oh, come on, opponent. Find someone eventually. Maybe. There we go. And we win the die roll. Heck yeah. So we've got turn 1 Grief, but not scammed. Or we could Fury. If the hand hit a 2nd land, it would be really good, but we are on a very low land count. So I think I'm going to ship this back. If any of these cards were a 2nd land, I'd probably keep it, but 1 land, no scam ability. This is better. I want to just throw back a Shadow and rely on Ragavan. Or do I want to throw back the 2nd Ragavan since I can protect the 1st one? Let's throw back a Shadow. We don't have the ability to get Shadow online yet anyway, so not a huge incentive to keep one or keep an extra one around. But if I'm able to like protect Ragavan or just play out the second one, then that could possibly get us there. Living End. Okay. Guess try to stop a grief scam. Crooks is a pretty solid draw. Wish we had one more land so we could Curator. So next turn, if we find like a fetch land, we might just play out the Shadow, let it die, and then play our fetch. Out of fetch, this might just be like play a Ragavan to get a Ragavan in the yard. I guess we're just playing a Street Wraith. Oh yeah. Waker. Okay. Well, we've in the sideboard we've got 4 copies of Leyline of the Void, 2 Chalice of the Void, 3 Blood Moon, any of which could be a possible game winner. Assume they're going to take the Shadow. So we play out Ragavan. We're taking 8, 11, 15 exactly on the crackback. So let's go to game 2. Got Chalices. Got Turok. Leylines. Some number of Blood Moon. Nixilis is pretty bad here. Bad. Terminates. Meh. Do I want to trim on the scam effects? They could have Brazen Borrower. They could have Shriek Maw. They could have Odawara. So the scam plan is certainly not guaranteed by any means. Might trim like 1. Trim a Fury. It's not great. I'm on the play. Fury. What's the clock on this? If I get it back as a 4/4, 3-turn clock. Probably a little better than I'm giving it credit for. Like that. Might trim down to 1 blood moon on the draw. No red card to get back Fury. Ship it. No red card to get back Fury, but can I afford to throw away a hand with Chalice, Grief? I think I have to keep this. Fury. See if I happen to find a black card, or not a black card and an undying effect, because I'd rather like I want to scam this grief. I don't want to just like hard cast it out. Alright, that gives us a shadow. Still hoping we can just like rip into an undying effect. Yep. Now it's kind of that point of like, do I think going for the grief is worth it? Do I have a choice? Alright, so they do have the outburst. Let's take that. There you go. Yeah, my graveyard's not bad, for sure. So it's not like the end of the world if they find another another cascade spell right here. We do have to stare down a Curator of Mysteries, so... Okay. They do not currently have a grief in their yard. So if they did top deck a Violent Outburst, then I can shock, attack. I'm at 6. They outburst. I play Shadow. I'm dead to Curator and Street Wraith. So I need to not shock, make the attack. And if they just like put in Endurance to block, which it looks like they're doing, then I just play the second Shadow, say go. I'm not going to show them this land yet. So they don't currently have red if they drew Violent Outburst. It's fine to hold this land because even if I drew like a fetch, I wouldn't have the ability to fetch, shock, kill anyway. So fair enough. Guess they just decided that their top of library was pretty bad. All right. What do we see that adjusts any of my decisions? We saw Leyline of Sanctity. So grief could be a little bit worse. Thoughtseize could be a little bit worse, but I don't think I'm like boarding either of those out. We saw Foundation Breaker, kind of to be expected. I'm trimming a Blood Moon on the draw. I just bring the Night's Whisper back in so I can at least have like Whisper to maybe try to find a Chalice if I don't have one. Whisper to find a Grief. Really need a pregame Leyline. That's what we need. It's got a Leyline. What do I think of this new hot shadow build? What, this one? That's kind of surprising. I figured they'd take like the Night's Whisper or the Spyro. Sexix, what's up? Did I see the Is It Scam build? I feel like I heard about it or saw something about it. Oh. Do you have a list available? Doing this. You got the force, you got the force. Oh, they're gonna endurance in response. Gross. Gross. Okay. All right, we really, really need a land for the Night's Whisper. There we go. All right, we're going to take a whole mess of damage just to try to set up. Okay. Looking for a red card. Come on, red card. We have to Night's Whisper, right? Night's Whisper hit land red card. Oh, baby. All right, kill you. Pop. Pop. Go. I need you to not have anything. Please don't have another copy of Endurance. No. No. That's even more feels bad. Give me the Endurance. Blue red's way better than black red. Yeah, I need to look at the list again. Let's see if we can find it. Was it in the last 5-0 dump? I think we can do better than this. No scam, no turn 1 play. None of our threats are technically online yet. Search on YouTube. Is it scam? I don't know. Is it scam? All right, what do we got? So we can scam a Fury. If they have a scam Fury, we're a little bit awkward. We can Thoughtseize, but then they get to hit us with a Ragavan. Is It Scam is actually broken. New brew that I swear is not a scam. Good catch there. Let's see. What do we got while our opponent's thinking? Ragavan, Shredder, Subtlety, Fury. Slip out the back. Force, Fire and Ice. Essence Flux. That's just like a blink, right? Terminate. Boo. Let's see what our opponent's got going on. See if we want to just like go ahead and resolve this shadow. So if we take it's like bad options all around. If we take Ragavan, then they croaks us. I think I'm just taking Malakir Rebirth and playing the Shadow and seeing what happens. If they don't play a land and like dash Ragavan into the Shadow, I'll trade and untap a Night's Whisper. If they play a land dash Rag, I'll just take the hit. Actually, do I want to just take this hit anyway? I think I'm going to. Dying Evil's fine. Take the hit. Yeah, we're on the same page. We got there. Draw me my cards. Okay. I've got to make sure that I'm not just like putting myself dead to Kroxa Undying Malice. I can fetch down to 7, attack for 6, play a Shadow. I'm at 7 life. So if they get 2 Kroxa triggers, I ditch Feign Death. I take 3, go to 4. If they get a 3rd Kroxa trigger or bolt, I take 3 more, go to 1. I'm still fine. So yeah, we're gonna go to combat. Hiya. Get a swamp. Let another shadow. Say go. Carry on. Ew. Ew. Worst possible draw for us to see. Spyro with the free ditches. And I know they've got an Undying Malice in hand. That was brutal. So they're going to be able to Undying Malice the Spyro and get more tokens. Interesting. All right. So I'm assuming they just have double bolt here, right? Because if you don't have double bolt, this attack makes no sense whatsoever. Yep. Attack makes 0 sense if you don't have double bolt there. So Spyro into double bolt does in fact cause us some anguish there. I guess that's the joy of relying on like aggressively lowering your own life total, is you just run into the risk of your opponent going, ah, sweet, bolt, bolt. Good talk. Another list I would want to ask if you saw was the Grixis with Angler one. If it was in the 5-0 dunk, I'd probably glanced over it. I looked at those kind of briefly. But if it wasn't in the 5-0 dunk, then I doubt I saw it. Sure. Did 5-0, don't know if it was in the list. Was it on one of the Discords or something? Do not have a Ragavan answer? You do not. Say go. Come on, land dash Ragavan. Okay. Gonna let this resolve so they lose the 2 life. This comes back. If it was one of the ones that put a 1/1 counter on it, I'd bolt in response, but because it's one that loses them life, take a chance, let it die. Yeah, if you want to drop the link, that would be pretty good. We'll go ahead and play out of Shadow. Alright, what do we got? Grixis D Shadow deck by... Yes, Magic Online user. Alright. So it's just like a nod to OG Shadow, Scour, K Command, Snapcaster. 4 Thoughtseize, 4 Inquisition. Two Ceremonious Rejection. Did somebody just like take their 2017 list and just straight upload it? Is there any proof that this 5-0'd something? There's Scourge. Technically, you were correct. But I would want to see proof that this 5-0'd something and what their matchups were. Because, like, Plague Engineer, Ceremonious Rejection, Liliana the Last Hope, 4 Snapcaster Mage. Oh, yeah, this could absolutely have a 5-0 5 years ago. This would have a 5-0 during the days of Tybalt's Trickery. I know because we 5-0'd a shit ton with Gurmag Angler and Snapcaster and Stub during Tybalt's Trickery days. But I have a really hard time believing this 5-0'd recently. So it says 5 June. It says first. It never says 5-0. It never says Magic Online League. Like, they've got a Nurturing Peatland in here. That's my thing, is, like, what about this says that this deck 5-0'd something? It says first, but first could have been like an F&M. I don't know. Which anything can win at an F&M. And then going past that, I would have to know, like, all right, what did they play against? What kind of matchups did they have? Do I plan on Spyroing or Ob? Probably Spyro, ditch what? Spyro, ditch Feign Death and the other Spyro and try to set up like a lethal Shadow. So let's shock, get an attack in. When I say set up a lethal Shadow, I mean like set up Obnixilis, sack a Shadow, 14 ball my opponent. I guess just 7 balls since only one of them have the loyalty. Take the hit. Guess I want to play out Ragavan because if they do have a Fury, they can't wipe my board with it. But I do have a 7-ball Shadow rolled up next turn, so that's kind of cool. All right. What is my plan? So if I play out the fetch land, they have to block the Shadow. So Shadow on a token. Token trades with Ragavan. Eat. Or trade, eat. Take 1, go to 9. I can scam the grief and attack. I can Obnixilis like an elemental token and tick up twice. Let's hiya. I don't want to play the land because I kind of want to see if they'll like do something to the shadow or maybe just not block it. It looks like they have a fatal push. Or if they do like this and scam, please Undying Effect on the Spyro, we win. They take 2, go to 7, and we get to fetch Shock second main phase, play Obnixilis, Casualty the Shadow. But I'm okay, like, not playing the fetch pre-combat, because if they have the answer to Shadow, then the fetch doesn't matter. But if they don't have the answer to Shadow, or they're planning on chumping, then we get to set up cool lines like this. Maybe they just take the 5, and we just get to kill them post-combat with the Ob. Alright, so we're going to -7, target you. Oh, man. Ob seems good in a stall. Sure, but we're not planning on stalling. Get out of here. Who stalls? Not us. Couldn't be us. The Pain Bringer, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome, was it Friday? Yeah, Friday. Wherever you're at in the world, appreciate you coming around and hanging out. Monkey. Monkey. All right. Kill the monkey, attack. No, kill the monkey. Cool. That trade. Oh, undying it. Undying it. Oh. Love to see it. Love to see it. Didn't think it was happening. Didn't think it was happening. What you want? I'm not gonna lie, I'm fairly appreciative of the direction this game 3 is going. Right. Let's take a moment and go back and look at some of these shadow decks while we got a quick break. So yeah, I still have a very hard time believing this like 5-0 to League. It's not impossible by any means, but you just gotta understand like how bad Gurmag Angler is nowadays when it doesn't dodge like anything in the format except for prismatic ending. Like doesn't dodge Solitude, Leyline Binding, Unholy Heat. All very, very rough and very, very commonly played. Teferi. At least Murktide dodges like Unholy Heat. Thought Scour. Like I get the Turbo Angler idea, but that was good when there was like one card in the format, Path to Exile, that answered Gurmag Angler. And then the Is It Scam or Is It Not Scam? Jump in here somewhere. So you evoke the Fury, slip out the back, phases out, gets a 1-1 counter. It doesn't trigger when it comes back in, though, right? It's just you get it. Come on. It does get to attack right away, which I guess is fine. Essence Flux makes 2 triggers. Yeah, because Essence Flux is a blink, right? But Slip just phases out. Wait, what happened there? Missed the end. Oh, Liliana got forced and they scooped. Gotcha. Appreciate the little sideboarding metric there. See, to me, this very much seems like the kind of deck that if you're able to have things line up well, then it works out pretty well. The same way that like Fury would. Or not Fury, same way that like normal Scam would. But as soon as something doesn't line up correctly, then it becomes an issue. Like, hey, you win this game because your opponent doesn't have a way of answering a 4/4 subtlety. So, I mean, are you saying, like, the deck is perfect because you have answers? Because every deck has answers, but the problem is every answer doesn't line up all the time perfectly. So do you have like what kind of win percentages are you looking at? Like you got that 5-0 10-0 league, but past that How many matches? What kind of matchup breakdowns are you seeing? I mean, it can be fun and powerful. We just need like data to back up any claims of anything being better or worse. That's all I'm looking for is what are the numbers? Look like a really weird living in deck. I guess we look like old school living in right now. Saying that having expressive iteration as a pitch for creatures makes you playing EI instead of terminate. You know how many times I've had the card expressive iteration in my hand and wanted to intentionally discard it? Never. Never have I intentionally wanted to discard an expressive iteration. Kind of expecting like a Kavu here. No Kavu. I could go Shadow. All right, option number 1, Swamp Spyro. Pitch Wraith Land or something, or Wraith Shadow. Just try to see some more cards. Option number 2, Fetch Shock Shadow. Try to bait a Bolt and cycle Wraith. Option number 3, Wraith Shadow. I put Shadow in everything. I didn't put Shadow in this. Rotanzi put Shadow in this. Unless you count 9 months ago. And then, yes, we put Shadow in something similar to this. I kind of want to just Spyro. But my fear is if I Spyro and, like, don't hit the land. But I think I want answers to, like, a Kavu or something. I'm just going to ditch these and power out Kroxa next turn. Shock. Shock in Temple Garden, like, has to mean double Leyline binding. That is the only thing I can come up with here. Maybe binding plus Bolt, but double removal spell. Double binding. Not saying we called it, but we called it. It's Night's Whisper. Got the stub. Okay. Pretty good sequence there. Gigantha, draw land, cool. So we get to escape Kroxa, ditch Gigantha. And I think their out is third copy of Leyline Binding. I believe that's the out. I mean, obviously they could draw like a chump blocker for a turn, but what you got? I was gonna say any dude chump blocks. Terminate, good. Path of Peril seems pretty decent. Blood Moon is solid. Just have to be careful of Force of Vigor, Miglos. Kroxa is a little bit worse with like Rest in Peace. Trim a Ragavan on the draw. Between like their Ragavans and all their 2-drops that outsize Rag pretty easily. Seems like a liability. And Texas, I missed your comment earlier. You can pitch Fire and Ice, Forces, Counterspells, Shredders. Just saying that blue-red makes you play better cards in general than red-black. I mean, better cards in general is very, like, subjective, right? Like, yeah, you got a bunch of good cards, but you also have a bunch of good cards in non-red-blue. Like, Grief is a very, very good card. All right. I want whatever copium these blue-red players are smoking, because that Shinamon isn't that strong. Apparently, who was it that said it the other day? Somebody was talking about blue-red having like a 40% win rate overall. It's just the best, like, mid-range deck in Modern. Alright, so I can turn 1, try to scam Grief. The downside is if they have Veil of Summer, But I could go like scam Grief. If they Veil, just turn around and scam Fury and Prey. Or I could just Thoughtseize and... Alright, we're gonna scam. But I don't see. I don't understand why we should consider good decks only the ones that already exist. We shouldn't, but you need data to back up other decks being good as well. Like, that's the part that I think we're skipping over. It's really tough to just say, like, oh, this other deck is good, trust me. Like, need a reason that the other deck is good instead of, I think it's powerful. Need numbers to back up the claim. Can't have one because I just saw the list yesterday. Didn't even say it's good. Hold up. Blue-red's the better pair. Think it's a better scam than red-black. You got some high opinions on the deck. My opponent not playing their second land drop. All right, Night's Whispers, decent. So I think what I'm gonna do is pass the turn here. Modern meta online shifts so fast and frequently. Like 1 week only blue-red hammer. Next week it's only creativity. I mean, yeah, it's just very easy to transition on Magic Online. Especially with so many people using like rental services. It's very, very easy to go, hey, this deck is the best thing to be doing this week. Let me play it. Freedy, what's up? The man, the myth, the legend. Talking about Dogfish? Yeah, I agree. I'll be doing well as long as I don't get double tribal flames here. But, you know, such is life. TBD. I feel like I'm going to get double tribal flames. They did have that scam answered turn 1 really well, though. So maybe I was supposed to Thoughtseize on 1. This Freedy alter ego Freed Mania. Kind of sold me on Dimir Shadow. I love Dimir. Like, I think my feeling towards Dimir is like in Sexic's opinion toward this blue-red scam deck. Like, I think it's really fun and really cool. Whether it's good or not, no idea, but show me a land. All right, so we need to... I need to go. All right. What is my best sequence to get this Fury down? If I go, because I want them to use a Tribal Flames on the Fury. If I go Evoke first, Undying Evil, they stub the Undying Evil, then I bolt, and I don't have a Fury. If I go Lightning Bolt first, I assume they just let it resolve. So what I need to do is Evoke Fury. Yeah, Jad, you got exactly what I was thinking there. Evoke, trigger on the stack, bolt. They stub the bolt. We say, cool, we're going to Undying Evil our Fury. Deal 4. Dying. Deal 4. Now they've got a Tribal Flames for the Fury, but I've got a Night's Whisper to try to rebuild a little bit. See where we go from there. Okay. No threat, please. Land Adjugantha Pass. Land Adjugantha Pass. Heck yeah. I don't love Obnixilis here, but I feel like I'd rather have the Planeswalker going than lose it to Gigantha or lose it to Spyro. And if they like spend a turn or removal spell on the Obnixilis, then that feels pretty good to me. Especially if they untap and Tribal Flames this Obnixilis. Like, that would be great. Love it. All right, show me the goods. Okay. Do I want to just main phase this Night's Whisper? I think I'm going to. They could have another Stubborn Denial, but I think if they have another Stubborn Denial, I'd rather just go ahead and get it out of hand and be able to, like, terminate a threat without worry. Or they don't have a Stubborn Denial. It's easy. Why are we worried about if they have Stubborn Denial? They clearly don't have Stubborn Denial. Or they're super baiting me. Like they're going to Gigantha hold up Stub here. Does this work? Love to see it. there's zero chance if they let that through, then they have a stub for this Obnixilis, right? Also, am I casualtying this for any reason? Two Obnixilis ticking up. I mean, I guess I could wait till next turn and try to like Obnixilis plus casualty and feign death. Yeah. I don't know. I kind of like and don't like that plan because we've got a clear advantage right now and we're just like not enabling it or not taking advantage of it. And then now we've got to decide, all right, are we... What does this deal damage to? Any target? Now we've got to decide, like, are we feign deathing our Spyro here? Or they're just going to shoot me? Okay, never mind. Spyro's fine. Fire off a bolt at you. So I would like to attack first. No, play Shadow first. So if I have to feign death my Spyro in combat, then my Shadow's out on the battlefield already. Is there any reason to feign death the Shadow instead of the Spyro? No. I want cards. As somebody who loves drawing cards, I'm okay with drawing cards. I thought they were gonna bolt my my Omnixilis in the middle of that. Okay. They clearly have a fond attachment to their last card. It's probably like a lightning bolt or a tribal flames. And they're looking at ripping the second one and killing me. Alright. Also, what does this invasion do? I gotta... For my own personal knowledge, I need to know what this other invasion does. I know you can, like, damage stuff and you reveal scions and you can damage it more and that's kind of cool, but I need, like, exact text. These things. March. Don't think battles have their own. Alright, invasion of Tarkir. ETB, reveal any number of dragons from your hand. When you do it, deals X plus 2 damage to any other target or X's number of cards revealed this way. So 2 damage, or you reveal like a Scion of Draco, deals 4. Flip becomes a 4/4 flying trampler. Whenever a dragon you control attacks, it deals 2 damage to any target. Okay. So you can like play the front half and then kill it with like a tribal flames or something and get a 4/4 dragon that shocks stuff. Not bad. Not bad. Always high roll. I mean, high roll for the style points is very much a thing. In the words of FPS games like COD and Apex, it's always do it for the clip. You can't brag about it later if you don't do it now. Eris redeemed a deck tech. All right, you got a list for me? Or do you want to do it on this list, or what you thinking? Ob's been OP. OP might be a bit of an exaggeration. Like, it's come down in a couple games that we were in like reasonable shape anyway. But yeah, Eris, if you just want to like drop a link to a list in chat, we can go over it. We'll probably go over it between games, so we got like a little more time to break it down. Greenless. I got it. So yeah, if that's okay with you, as soon as we finish this game or this match, then we'll break down the list. I'll kind of glance at it in the meantime. For anybody that's just curious, it's Grixis Shadow with Scourges, Murktide, Stubbs, Surge of Salvation, Hallowed Moonlight in the board. So literally greenless. Iterations. Heat Bolt. Alright. Let's set that aside, get through this match, and then we'll go down that rabbit hole and see what we got. Alright. Opponent bowls. Spell Pierce, Renin 6. No red or green mana. So I know I want to get down the Shadow next turn. I think what I might do is take the Fable next turn, play out the Shadow in the expectation that my opponent's going to hit the missing color of mana for Renin 6. And they're going to play Ren, down tick on my Shadow. I'm going to Malakir Rebirth to save it. And then maybe kill the Ren on the backswing. Just kind of depends on how we're feeling. This also kind of plays around my opponent having a lightning bolt too. I could also scam Grief off a Rebirth and play a Shadow. That's got to be better, right? Like, scam Grief off a Rebirth, take Spell Pierce, scam the Grief, lose the 2 life, play the Shadow. So, yeah. Yeah. Just hope they didn't top deck a Lightning Bolt, which they did not. So we take Spell Pierce. We Malakir Rebirth our Grief. Grief comes back. We take Renin 6. I do want to point out that we called them drawing the second colored mana source for Renin 6. So that was pretty fun. I do love when a good thought comes together. Okay, we know they're going to top deck the other color mana. Let's go ahead and plan for that. So they've got Counterspell, Basic Island, Misty Rainforest, Unknown. No more Misty. Feign Death is perfectly reasonable. Yeah. They're fetching down to 12. So we could kill them with Wraith into Fetch Land. Yeah? Is that right? Wraith to 5, Wraith to 7. Yeah. Wraith, Fetch Land kills. It's gone. Or, I mean, just attacking in 2 turns, I guess, is okay as well. What we got? Bolt my Shadow, and you've got the counter spell for the Feign Death. But I gotta make them go ahead and use it, right? Yeah. Sucks, but go ahead and get cards out of hand. What is dead may never die. Fetch land for lethal. Fetch land for lethal. Fetch Lizzie for lethal. All right, on to game 2. So I don't really know what my opponent is on. My initial assumption would be some sort of like Bring to Light or Scape Shift pile, like a Teamer Scape Shift or something. Splashing other colors for like Leyline Binding or Prismatic Ending, because we saw Counterspell, Renin 6, Spell Pierce, Lightning Bolt, but we did not see all mountains, so I don't think it's creativity. So I'm going to stick to my gut that it's some sort of Bring to Light pile. In which case, Blood Moon is decent. I might bring in like a value Leyline or 2. Like if I see it to stop Ren, that's great. If I don't see it though, I like don't want to draw it. Removal spells are probably all pretty atrocious. Ob could be decent. Trim on it. Scam effect. I'm going to trim on an Ob on the draw. Just kind of focus on Shadow, Thoughtseize shenanigans. Oh. Scam of Grief and a Monkey. Or like Scam of Grief. If they don't Veil, maybe Thoughtseize and Monkey on 2. You got the Veil. No veil. Okay. Fable. So we're taking Fable. We're playing Ragavan. And we're saying go. And we're praying to whatever elder gods we believe in that we top deck a second land and can just slam a Blood Moon. Or they top decked a Prismatic Ending. I just love that feeling when you have a thought like, okay, if they just miss the land or miss the play this one turn, we win. And then it's just immediate punishment. It's that immediate Prismatic Ending off the top, and now Fable gets them back in this. Plus stops Blood Moon from locking them out. Wouldn't whisper better where. Oh, whisper better the last turn. I don't think it's like a big difference either way. Like, either way, it's taking a Fable. What is this? Memory Deluge. Okay. Well, we might get a chance to land our Blood Moon here, so that's kind of cool. Found the bolt. Bro, we need to have a discussion. Need to have a discussion. Can't be doing this to me. Oh, that top deck bolt was brutal. Not top deck, but deluge for a bolt. Bolt in the top 4. Okay. Now we have to run into them having knowledge of Blood Moon going into game 3. So we'll probably trim like one of them or something. Okay. Big Bucks, no counterspell. One, two, three, four, five, six. So if they have another land, they can deluge next turn. Fairy. Nope. Omnath. Nope. Bring the light. Oh no. Pending. Pending for 5. Alright. I guess I'd rather get down Shadow, Spyro tokens. Maybe I should have been more mana efficient and gotten tokens this turn and plan on like doing something else next turn. Another pending. The old triple pending, eh? Alright, we're definitely Spyro tokening this turn. Imagine having it all. Literally can't. We've got Malakir rebirths. Alright, so hopefully we can catch them like memory deluging before damage. Doesn't look like they're gonna do. So now I'm starting to wonder. I think this is just like a 4-color control deck. I thought it was like Scape Shift or Bring to Light or something, but I don't believe that's the case anymore. I think it's just somebody that said, I can play all the colors of mana, so I will. Ah, yes. Stoneforge Mystic. That's where I expected this game to go. Batter Skull. Do I have anything that can deal with this? So I casualty a token. Yeah, casualty a token and just start ticking up. Get like a block in. They kept their second card, so I kind of want to grief it. Yeah. Like, Like, I'm already in the business of needing to top deck anyway, so... Always take up the one with the higher loyalty first. I feel like it doesn't really matter after they've resolved. It's like if my opponent had a bolt or something and they were going to respond with bolting the second one, then they would just bolt before the first one even like finishes resolving. There's like wouldn't be that much of a reason to wait. If I play Blood Moon, that cuts me off of Kroxa. So I do not want to play Blood Moon. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right when it comes to just like having two Ob Nixilis and you go to your opponent's main phase, like hit the one that you can keep. But I think both times that I ticked one up or had both and ticked one up was like right after one was like still resolving. So if they had had the answer, they would have done something about it. They're attacking all at me. You have a bolt. Is that your draw? Alright. Kroxa would be really good. Fury is not bad. So let's go tick up this one. They kept the card. Does that mean I'm ticking up this other one? If it's a counter spell, I feel like it doesn't matter. Let's make a dude with this one. If Ob Nixilis finds a way to get us out of this game, I'm going to be like shocked and amazed. That doesn't help. Alright, ping in the face. Kroxa. Kroxa. Honestly, I'm pretty shocked by the amount of times that they're just like taking two. I realize it doesn't like hugely matter. Alright, so they can copy a 0/0 germ token. It's gotta count for something. Oh. No. No. Oh man. Nicholas was doing so well. I guess I might want to keep it in and bring in Turok now that I know they're not like a. I guess I don't know they're not a Veil of Summer deck. I'm just kind of assuming. We get some kind of benefit if we make the token before we take up. You gain life. I mean, I guess. Yeah, the 2 turns we made a token. We should have done that first. But at the same time, I was kind of hoping that them discarding would help me inform my other play. So I didn't really know if I wanted to make a token yet. Like the turn that we had the Fury, if they had discarded and shown that they had nothing, then I would have Furied and then ticked up the other ob. But they didn't discard, so we had to resort to making a guy instead. So one of those times, yes, we should have done it the other way. The first time we did it correctly. Yeah, that time, that second time right there, we did it incorrectly. We should have made the token first and then ticked up the other one. So you are correct there. Ooh, no answer to the Ragavan. I'm gonna fetch first. Ooh. That's why we went ahead and fetched the basic swamp. Shh. The old turn 2 Blood Moon. Please be enough. Please, please, please. Ah. Boo. Less boo. Let's Croxa. Play our other rag. They Fable, we get to terminate, hit them with rag. Get our second mana source to escape Croxa. Multiple bolts. The pain. All right. Who's going to draw something relevant? We've got Spyros. We've got Ragavans. 2 more Ragavans. We've got Basic Swamp. We've got Fury. We've very clearly got Feign Death. We can Shadow and then Feign Death our own Shadow after it's already in the graveyard. Yeah. Okay. No target. Third bolt. Broseph. Broseph, we gotta talk. We gotta talk about this. Alright, I'm down to scam. What you got? You got fourth bolt? Oh, man. All right. Cauldra Force. So if they find the basic planes, we are super dead. So does that mean I just want to take the binding? They can't get rid of the Blood Moon. All right. Another Fury off the top. So close. We'll start holding on to lands in case we find a Spyro. You know, one of the 4 seasoned Pyromancers that we have currently got in the deck. One of 4 copies of seasoned Pyromancer. That is to say, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 seasoned Pyromancer. I'll take Force. In case we find like an Ob Nixilis. Or Spyro. Can't even be a black source for Kroxa. Or Spyro, Fury, Basic Swamp, Ragavan. Okay, so I do want to play out one of these lands. Cast the Fury so I can hold up Feign Death or something and do things and stuff. And, you know, things with the cards and the spells. It is found. It is found. Okay. Okay. How important is this damage? Okay. So let's go terminate. Get the hit in. So if they play Batter Skull here, we just Fury, kill the Batter Skull. Batter Skull is down. Terminate and Smeesh. That token in particular is doomed. Got it. Second Fury. All right, we've got two Furies that both can first strike for lethal before Batterskull gains life. All right, now we've got a 47-minute overdue deck tech. So this was Eris _AMG's deck tech. Aptly named Greenless. So, threats. We got 4 Shadow, 4 Channeler, 4 Wraith, 2 Murktide, 3 Scourge. I saw some questions in the comment about why no Ragavan. Coderific, thank you so much for the follow. Let me see the answer to that before I say anything. Why no Monkey? Wanted to go faster, so I opted for Wraiths. Explain no Monkey. It's definitely up for contention. I'm not 100% on it, but I like having the ability to beat them down with DRCs to enable Scourge. Monkey's worse than hitting them. All right. So it's a little more focused on enabling Scourge with that logic. Then my question would be, if the focus is on enabling Scourge and that's the reason for not playing Monkey, then probably need to find room for the 3rd and 4th Lightning Bolt, because those are like 2 of your best ways of enabling Scourge. Maybe like the 4th Drown in the Lock and maybe like 4th Drown, 3rd Stub or something could become 2 more Lightning Bolts. Just because I think that if you're running a bunch of Scourges, you want to be enabling it very, very consistently. And Dragon's Rage Channeler like has to have Delirium to enable it. But the longer you wait to get Scourge online, the sketchier it can get. What do we got? 2 Murktide. So no Gigantha, obviously. 4 Street Wraith. 3 Scourge. Only 2 Expressive Iteration. 4 Drown, 2 Bolt, 3 Stub, 2 Surge of Salvation, 4 Unholy. So is the Surge of Salvation mostly for like Solitudes? Just want a way of like main deckable way of dealing with those? Or I guess I should ask it like this. Is the White Splash for Surge of Salvation, or is the White Splash for Hallowed Moonlight Wear and Tear? Because I think if the splash is for Surge of Salvation, then I'd probably rather just see like drop the Surge and go to Apostle's Blessing so you don't have to like mess up the mana. I was looking at Sacred Foundry with Drown in the Lock and Murktide Regent. Like Sacred Foundry, Godless Shrine, Blood Crypt, Snow-Covered Swamp with Murktide Regent can be a little sketchy, especially if you want to like Murktide plus Stubborn Denial. But if the goal is to play white for like Hallowed Moonlight and then Wear Tear Surge of Salvation, then I would just be careful of double pit cards like Murktide because they're going to be a little troublesome. Say a little troublesome, like a lot of troublesome. Like obviously you can start Watery Grave into Steam Vents, but then you run the risk of having like Shadow plus Thoughtseize and you can't double spell that way. Battle Rage in the board. Royal Scions. Oh, baby. I I'd also probably cut Turok. I don't think you have the mana to support it. Like, you got the Watergrave Swamp, Godless Shrine, but having Steam Vents that you need pretty aggressively for Murktide, and then, like, Sacred Foundry to enable a lot of the red and white stuff. It can make Turok pretty iffy. Hearse is fine. Ego's fine. Personally, I've been on, like, Flusterstorm in all the matches that I want Ego, like Rhinos and Living End. Obviously, it's worse against Tron and against the Amulet decks, but usually don't mind those matchups too terribly much. Plus, you got the extra stub in the board. So, Hallowed Moonlight, obviously really good against creativity. Decent against Rhinos, but you do just have counter magic. White Splash was for sideboard cards mainly. I wonder if you could get away with... No. I'm going to say like maybe a Triome just to help smooth out the mana. But there's not a lot of times you'd want to fetch out a Triome. But maybe like a Jeskai Triome wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Or I'd say Mardu, but with Murktide, it's a bit iffy. So, my biggest concern, and I don't just mean like in this list, I mean in general when people are kind of brewing, is one of the reasons that a deck like Blue-Red Murktide has such a high like conversion rate is the consistency of being able to play 4 Expressive Iteration, as many Murktide Regents as they think they need to run, 4 Channeler, 4 Ragavan, 4 Heat, as many bolts as they need, 4 Counterspell. And as soon as you start cutting into that, like only running 2 Expressive Iterations, 2 Murktide Regents, 2 Lightning Bolts, then you just run into this issue of you're not seeing the best cards that Modern has to offer consistently. So there's a reasonable chance that you're going to get outvalued by the people that are consistently seeing the best cards. Like, Drown in the Loch has a much higher chance of being dead than Expressive Iteration. So I'd probably want to, like, cut back on Drown until you've maxed out on iterations. Same thing with, like, Lightning Bolt. Like, it's good at enabling Scourge, but Scourge isn't always going to be the best card in your hand. So now you run the risk of it being more likely that you see Scourge of the Skyclaves than Expressive Iteration, but Scourge is more likely to be dead than Expressive Iteration is. So just keep that in mind. And I'm not saying don't play it. Like, I never say don't play anything on the channel. It's just, hey, be ready for this if you decide to run this list through a bunch of matches. Like, you're going to have games against Blue-Red Murktide where they see the 3rd and 4th Expressive Iteration and pull ahead, and you're finding, like, the 3rd and 4th Drown in the Loch after they've played a Murktide. And you just, like, can't get it off the battlefield. But that's about all I can really say. 4-color. When I've played 4-color before, I've just about always started off on a black-green base because you get access to the mana fixing. You get, like, Traverse the Ulvenwald if you want it to get basics. You can play black-green, splash red for Wrenn and 6 to help with the mana. You think I should run Kroxa instead of Regent? I think Kroxa would help the mana a decent bit, because now, like, Godless Shrine and Sacred Foundry are helping towards Kroxa. Like Blood Crypt, Godless Shrine, Sacred Foundry, Steam Vents, Watery Grave, Snow Covered Swamp all tap for some mana of Kroxa. But Blood Crypt, Godless Shrine, Sacred Foundry, Snow Covered Swamp all do not tap for Murktide. So that would be. I think I would play Kroxa over Murktide, but I don't think it's some huge percentage either way. Also missed a follow. Abe Fourth, if you're still in here, thank you so much for the follow. Must have been during the height of the last match. Ugh. But I actually really like Kroxa. I know a bunch of people have kind of moved on from it, especially for Underworld Breach. But I think Kroxa is extremely good against like the Solitude and Leyline Binding piles, because a lot of times you can like turn 2 Kroxa and get a card out of hand for free, and then later escape it, get another card out of hand plus the removal spell, and if the removal spell happens to be like an Evoked Solitude, then you've just 4-for-1 your opponent with that Kroxa. Like the first card they got, the second card it got, the Solitude, the card exiled to Solitude. And that's a pretty good feeling to 4-for-1 your opponent off of Kroxa. Like, yes, it doesn't have the explosiveness that Underworld Breach has, but the consistency is very, very nice. All right, so we got to keep this. What are we throwing back? Wraith enables turn 2 Shadow, so maybe I'm just throwing back the Undying Evil. Because this gets Shadow 1 point higher, but Malakir Rebirth gets it 2 points higher. Looks like opponent mold as well. Ragioli. Fury Grief. Okay. This would kind of suck if they have like Rin ping our Ragavan attack, but if they don't, Bolt Rag attack would be decent. Like Grandpappy always said, if you got a chance to trade a rag, trade a rag. Playing against Jund Shadow. Just straight up Jund. All right. Do I want to save Kroxa to try to double Kroxa next turn? Want to be able to Spyro if I find a Spyro. All right. Please don't hit a seasoned pyromancer. We all knew it was happening. Nobody had any doubt. This has got to be Shadow, right? Because, like, they're fetching and shocking very, very aggressively for it to not be Shadow. And if there's anybody that knows a thing or two about fetching and shocking aggressively, it's me. All right, so we take 4, go to 7, fetch to 6, fetch again to 5, and we got Croxa. Fetch again to 2, and we got Croxa. So we're dead. I think our only out is to draw a Spyro. So I will say this is like poster child of why, if you're running red, you play Ragavan. Because Ragavan just wins games solo. Like hitting our Spyro, hitting our Bolt, and the games we like had a couple options or a couple times we could possibly get back in, just left the building completely because of Ragavan. And they would not have Delirium enabled for Dragon's Rage Channeler. So Croxa. Croxas are out. I thought about that too late. Croxa, Malakir Rebirth to Croxa would have been enough to burn them out. How far away was it? Oh, man. There's all the bangers. Yeah, that would have been an out. Croxa into Croxa. That. Blood Moon can be really good. Usually they've got some way of interacting with it. Wonder if they're playing battles. Best case scenario would be Wraith finds a land. Swamp does nothing, so we gotta ship that. We'll keep this. Turn 1 Scam of Grief. Shadow. Like a ways off of that being online. Alright, so we get Rag and Bolt. Guess there are worse hits. Now we've got a 5-turn clock. We lose out on, I'm assuming, Terminate. Not sure how much I like that take of Spyro. Like, I agree it's the better card, but low land count deck, multiple draws off getting it online. But if you leave me with Terminate, then it kind of makes, like, any of your creature top decks look pretty bad. Fatal Push. Terminate. Okay. Oh boy. Does that mean their last card's a fetch land? Even if it is, I think you play this slow. I don't think there's any reason to crack the fetch land on your own turn. Do I think my opponent has drawn a Veil of Summer? Slash, can I do anything about it if they have? Spyro? Okay. We take Night's Whispers around these parts. Got a bolt. TBD. No longer TBD. All right. Now the fun begins. Top decking with shadows. They don't know about this Fury. Not that it like really matters right here, but no blocks. Top deck the removal spell. Endurance. Sure. Okay. Hmm. I think we just play this and make a 1-1. All right. Option number 1, we evoke Fury, kill the Endurance. We could attack for 6, but that's not lethal. Option number 2, we Obnixilis and Casualty, but we can't get Casualty up to 7. If we could, it would be lethal because we could take up the lower count Obnixilis, deal 2 because they can't discard a card, and the big one would -7 and kill them. We could save Obnixilis to see if we can set up something next turn that involves them like attacking with both. We block Shadow, take Fury, or take their Shadow. Block Shadow, take the Endurance hit. Shadows bounce off each other. And then we get to untap an Obnixilis. But if they have a removal spell, we're just dead. So I think we have to, like I said, Ob and down tick. They draw a fetch land. This can get up to an 8/8. And I could double block and ping it. Then if I draw land, I could Fury. So that's something. Okay. Another Shadow's fine. Blood Moon. That would mean if I fetch shock, I would go to 7. I can't fetch and shock, right? If I fetch shock, I go to 7. And then I have to chump both shadows with my shadow and my devil token if I take up Ob Nixilis. I could evoke the Fury and just kill the Endurance. But then if they draw a fetch land, then I'm forced to double block if I take up Ob Nixilis. If I don't take up Ob Nixilis, then it doesn't matter too much. I could attack with both shadow, or attack with my shadow. Okay. Hold up. If I attack with my shadow and they double block with their shadows, then I fetch shock, kill one, deal 1 to the other, evoke Fury, kill the second shadow, and then I've got tick up Ob Nixilis and a devil token against their Endurance. If they block with Shadow and Endurance, yeah, I can't do that because they just block with Shadow and Endurance. So I think I just play Blood Moon and say go. Cut them off green. Cut them off fetch lands. But I should have ticked up the Ob. Yeah, I should have ticked up Ob Nixilis there. But I guess if I tick up Ob, like, Shadow goes to 1, I go to 12. So yeah, I should definitely tick up Ob. I'm fine going up to 12. They're attacking me. take 2. Now, if they attack both shadows, I can block both shadows with my shadow and a devil token, and Malakir Rebirth my shadow. Bobble is fine. Oh, this is a weird one. All right. So I Malakir Rebirth. Before damage to get this trigger. Or to grow. I'll grow their shadow. Say okay here. Malakir Rebirth. Does it matter? Maybe I'm supposed to just ping myself. Ping them. So I can make another token with Obnixilis. Is there a case to Fury there, kill Endurance, and then attack with Shadow and make them block? We got 2 blockers. Yeah, Shadow is just too small. Okay. So let's tick up Ob. No. I'm ticking down Ob, right? Because I need another blocker in case things go sideways. Yeah. Tick down Ob. Hardcast Fury to kill the Endurance. Ooh. Man. I also thought that was game 3. Whoops. We gotta do it again. I can make any changes. Oh. That was a heck of a game, too. Don't want a mulligan. I just can't keep it. Okay. You got a rag. Yep. Hot draws are hot. Love to see a lightning bolt here. Love to see a lightning bolt here. Ob's been legit in the fair matchups. All right, please don't blossoming defense me. Okay. All right, so I think I'm going to swamp Knight's Whisper. Plan on them hitting me with a Goyf, then I get like double Shadow plus Malakir Rebirth or something next turn. As long as they don't have like Bolt, Battle Rage. Bubble's fine. Yep. I think you have to take a Shadow. Like the Undying effects are repetitive if I double Shadow next turn. Spyro's good. You could take Spyro, but I think Shadow's like the biggest liability. You just run the risk of Shadow plus doubled Undying effects. Call. They do have Delirium now. Delirium and no third land draw. Oh, man. I want to play that so bad. I'm not going to, but I want to. Okay, so I run into a big risk here if they have double removal spell for the Shadow. Because I would be Fetch Shock down to 7. They end of turn cast whatever on it, like cast an Unholy Heat. I Malakir Rebirth down to 5. And then if they have another removal spell, the Feigned Death taps the Shadow. And I'm just like out of commission. So I think I'm going to go for the Spyro, ditch the Blood Moon, and the Malakir Rebirth. Yeah, it grows the Goyf, but I get like some bodies and stuff. And Path of Peril's pretty nice if they have a follow-up threat here. Like attack, I block, they play another Goyf. Okay. Are we just casting Path of Peril? Probably. there any reason to do anything else? And I'll get an attack in. If they want to dash Ragavan or something, that's fine. But if they draw like a fetch land, they're going to be able to get Shadow online anyway. So sitting around for a turn to try to get Shadow down doesn't really do a whole lot for me. Yeah, I'm trying to stay out of double bolt range. So I grief off the Street Wraith. Shadow, Endurance, Invasion. So I don't really care about the Invasion. I don't really care about the Endurance right now either. So I think I'm just taking Shadow. Shadow, Feign Death. I guess I can do that. Pretty solid. Play out the Shadow because if they find a way to remove the Spyro, we still need a blocker. If they find a way to lower their life, then we can just jump with Spyro anyway. Well, Second Scourge does not help our case. I don't think there's a reason you don't just make this attack. Second Scourge. Oof. Anything good? Ral, is it Viceroy? Yep. Alright, what do we think? What did we think? Ugh. We definitely didn't see like, and this was kind of the reason that I stopped playing was not taking that endurance at punt. Maybe. Probably, because we kind of needed the grief on board. So yeah, I think it was. One of the reasons that I stopped playing the scam deck a while back, or like the shadow scam deck we were brewing around with, was when the primary game plan doesn't work, when you don't scam on turn one, the deck kind of falls apart. Or when the scam doesn't work turn one, you just kind of sit there and do nothing. And that was like my biggest issue with the deck, because you've got these 4 and 5 drops in like your 15 land count deck. So reliably hard casting these isn't happening. A lot of times you're keeping like 1 landers, maybe a 2. So you even go up to like, that's 18 cards that you're not reliably casting with most hands. Ragavan's a good backup plan. Kroxa's up here as well. Yeah, it's just a whole lot of like not really doing much. I really like Dolphy in the deck though. So maybe that's a thought. Maybe it's just go back. Like Ob was okay, but maybe it's just go cut Ob, cut Night's Whispers or something for some Dolphys in the main deck, just to have something else to do on like turn 2 or 3. Sideboard wise, 4 ley lines kind of hurts. Like, if you have to mulligan to ley line and you don't see one, it feels horrible. If you do mulligan, or you just have one in your opening hand and you draw the second one, it feels horrible. So I think I'd rather just like cut ley lines and go to Spell Bomb or Unlicensed Hearse or something that doesn't feel so bad in multiples, or that you don't have to have in your opener. Definitely don't need Emrakul. Well, that was in the list I copied, so. But I could see it. I'm also not really sure why. I don't know why the original list especially was running 4 copies of Path of Peril in your Ragavan Shadow deck. Like Spyro tokens. That's like putting a lot of pressure on having a scam. But honestly, I think like any of these, I'm not super attached to. So, if I were making changes right now, I would say lose these. Add in Dolphy. So I think Dolphy's especially good against like cards like Renin 6, incidentally. It's all over the place right now. It just gives you another threat you can be proactive with. I think I like cutting one more scam effect for one more Thought Seize. Cut the Kroxa. Maybe cut like a Spyro for kind of like Dogfish said. A couple Scourge of the Skyclaves. Or something like that. Just to have a little more proactive and like consistent game 1 plan if your scam doesn't work out. I always talk about kind of like shifting things this way, moving the curve a little lower. Just makes it so your backup plan's like a little bit more reliable. And then as far as these, do something like a soul guide. Unlicensed. Maybe like a soul guide and a hearse, but you've already got like 4 Dothies or something, so you don't really need to go crazy with the grave hate. Maybe another terminate to help fight over like Murktide or whatever. Dothi plus hearse probably fine. Yeah. Just some amount of extra hate. Dothi can be kind of awkward. It's not always lights out against Living End. And then with your 3 other spots, maybe if you wanted to run Ob Nixilis for the fair matchups, you could find room for a couple there. Round it out with, I don't know. I really like Turok. I could be biased. Something like that. I just think that, like, when the turn 1 scam plan doesn't work, you've got to have a backup plan. And the backup plan needs to be things that you can actually, like, cast and get value. Just rarely going to kick here. Well, I think you're kind of expecting that the matchups Turok's going to come in with, or in for, are going to go a bit longer, so you might have time to just like play out your Malakir Rebirths as lands, or get a Ragavan hit in early. Something like that. I could even see just cutting the Scourge, like the second Scourge for the 4th Thoughtseize, just to make like the Shadow plan better, or protect a Ragavan a little better. I don't hate that. Like, kind of what I figured out when I was playing the list before. What I was seeing was the games that you started off turn 1 with Scam a Grief. Those gave me a huge win percentage. But the games that didn't start off explicitly with scamming a Grief were abysmal. So I'd be trying to maximize that one way or the other. All right. Well, we got that league out of the way. I think there was another